Hey everybody, what's up? It is Jordan Tremaine with another book review, and today I'm coming at you with a book that I've wanted to read for a while and hadn't gotten around to it until just recently. But I'm excited to do the book review about it, and that book is Douglas Adams' Hitch-Hiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Okay, so in case you don't know about this book has a pretty interesting history because it originally started out as a radio show and it developed into this novel, which this book is one of a series. There's another book called the Hitchhiker's Ultimate Guide to the Galaxy, which is all the 5 books in that series squished into one. I just read the first one, which is just the regular, not the Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And then later, there was a movie that came out that, now that I've read the book and seen the movie, I used to like the movie a lot, and I still like the movie, but it is very different than the book. Like some of the plot sequences and how they tie stuff in to make it work in like 2 hours. I like the book a lot more, but the movie was really fantastic, and it gave a lot of the visuals, and I think the visuals matched the book a lot in terms of how the book describes things. So yeah, before we get into the big meaty juicy part of the book review, if you like these book reviews, and you don't gotta like every single book review, if you like even some of these book reviews, you think they're good, you think I should be sharing this kind of information with people, then subscribe. Click subscribe. Send this to other people so they can be like, oh, that's a good book, maybe I should read that. But that's the thing you should do, so click that button. Anyways, this book is about this dude, and he's like living on Earth in England or something like that, and then one of his friends, who he thought was a regular dude, ends up being a alien, and then they go on a bunch of adventures because something happens. I'm not going to tell you too much because you should read the book. Something happens which makes them go on all these adventures across the universe. They meet some other aliens. There's like a little bit of a love story involved in there, I guess, because who doesn't like a love story? But the thing that I thought was really cool about this book, it's called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and really it's a book that's about a book. And inside of this novel, there's this thing called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it's a book that one of the characters is working on as an editor or as a person that adds information to it. And so he's being a hitchhiker going around the galaxy, and every time he finds something out, he like adds something new to this book. And it's cool because it's kind of like in Pokemon, where when you went around and you found new stuff, like in the show Pokemon, like the main character would like open up his Pokédex, and the Pokédex would like tell you stuff about what was going on, and then he'd close it, and then you get back to the regular episode. In this book, when they come across new stuff, the Earthling guy, he doesn't know what's going on because he's never been off Earth, so he gets to open up that book, and it like explains what's going on to him, and it gives you that kind of like peek behind the curtain into what the actual scene is, and it just lays it out like an encyclopedia, like, oh, this alien, which you've never heard of, is like this, they have these temperaments, they have this history, be careful of this, if you want one of these from them, make sure you don't let this happen. And then they learn some new stuff because they interact with them, and they're like, oh, well, let me update the guide because I was wrong, or let me add this new information. And I thought that was really cool because it adds this interesting element to the book where you get this, like, all the characters are playing in the universe of the book, but then also there's this book that's about the universe of the book inside of the book. That, I know I'm saying book a lot, but I thought it was really cool. It's really interesting the way they contrast those two things, and it helps to like push the plot along. Other than that, like, I would say this is one of the most fantastic books that I've read, probably ever. And by fantastic, I don't mean like excellent, even though I think it's a good book. By fantastic, I mean like really wild, out there thoughts. Where this wasn't very confusing. Like the wild, out there thoughts were not like, oh my gosh, how do I figure it out? What does that mean? The wild, out there thoughts were like, oh, I guess that can happen. Oh, that's really creative. And just the way the story progresses. And it's interesting that within the realm of the story, because they're like experiencing the universe, and some people have been to a lot of planets, and Arthur, the guy that was on Earth, he's experiencing planets for the first time, and like he never left Earth. Everything's crazy to him, and everything's like why would this be like this? What are you talking about? And everybody else is like, yeah, that's okay. And it gives the like two perspectives of like, yeah, this is kind of really crazy, but it also is what it is. And I say, like, if you haven't read this book, at the very least, watch the movie. Even though the movie is decently different than the book, it still gives a good flavor of what the book's about, and it's really entertaining. But I think the book is a lot better. It ties the story together a lot better. Now that I read the book, the movie seems a little more random. Like, yeah, that doesn't really make as much sense because you like took some of the plot out right there. But I liked both a lot. I liked the book better. The book was easy to read. I listened to it on audiobooks. I really can't stress enough how much audiobooks are cool, and you should try them. If you listen to music a lot, especially in the car, that's great. But I would say start splicing some audiobooks in there because you get to think, you get to like it's an easy way to read books, and I think when you read more books you get different perspectives and stuff. And music is great, but when you listen to the same song over and over and over and over, it's like, but I think audiobooks are great. So this book, it's the plot is kind of straightforward because it's basically the title of the book where they go explore the galaxy. But if you want to dig into any of the details, like I said before, it's very fantastic, so you kind of have to be inside of the storyline. You have to kind of know what's going on for anything to make sense. They make up a bunch of words. All the characters have these weird names, like Slarty Bartfast. That was a funny one. But because like there's all these alien words and all these alien things, for me to kind of like talk about it in a summary way, I think it would be a little confusing because most of the words aren't real words in regular Earth life. So I would suggest you read the book. The movie is pretty funny. You could watch the movie. That's definitely like a comedy movie that's nice and lighthearted, and it's easy to understand. Kids can watch it, so it's a cool family movie, I think. But this book, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, I think was really, really funny. It had some interesting perspectives, and I think it's definitely worth a read. There's a reason why I think this book is so popular, and it became such a good movie. And the movie had really good production value. Like, it was made, like, in the past. I don't know exactly what year, but, like, it wasn't made very recently. And I watched it, like, last week because I just finished this book, and I wanted to compare the two. And I was like, even though there's some plot holes in this movie, which normally is the case when you take a book and you make it to a movie, they gotta, like, change the plot around to have it fit within the time of the movie. Like the costume design, the special effects and all that stuff, it held up really well. So I really appreciate they did a good job on the movie. So definitely go see that, I think, if you're interested in this thing. But there are a lot of funny things in this book. There are a lot of really clever things in this book. And I think it's worth a read because it's not that complicated. I finished the audiobook in like a week, and I wanted to go back and listen to the next part. It's not one of those things where you're like, somebody told me this is a good book, or I know this is a really, like, you know, one of the classics, but I don't want to read. Like, this book, I wanted to go back, and I wanted to keep reading it. And I was almost disappointed when it was over. Like, man, I wanted to keep listening to more stuff. But the book is Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I recommend it. The little picture stuff keeps showing up. There you go. And yeah, I don't think that I can really say anything bad about this book, except for that the movie doesn't do the book justice. If you really want to know the story, read the book. But yeah, this has been another episode of Jordan Tremaine Book Reviews. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you read this book, and if you have read it, drop something in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know what was your favorite part, or your favorite name. I said Slarty Bartfast, that was a funny name, but Zaphod Beeblebrox, that name, I think that was my favorite name. The president of the galaxy or whatever, the Galactic Empire, Zaphod Beeblebrox. They're like, I don't know, saying that name is just funny to me. But yeah, it's been another episode of Jordan Tremaine Book Reviews. Hope you guys keep reading, and I'll see you next time.